Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will be discussing the lessons learned from Kargil conflict of 1999. 2 days back, the country celebrated 21st anniversary of the victory achieved against Pakistan in the Kargil conflict. July 26, 1999 was the day when Operation Vijay concluded after Pakistani troops who had intruded inside the Indian territory and captured mountain peaks of Kargil were evicted in a 3-month-long conflict. The victory was, however, not easy for the armed forces, who had to face not only the Pakistani army but also the extremely difficult topographic conditions. The exemplary bravery of the Indian Armed Forces is celebrated every year, but there are several lessons that ought to be learned from this episode. Have those lessons been learned? We will try to understand this in the agenda today from Kargil war veteran, retired Brigadier Vinod Datta. But before we welcome Brigadier Datta, let's have a look at this small report.
In the summer of 1999, Indian Armed Forces fought perhaps the world's most difficult battle in the barren mountains of Kargil to evict thousands of Pakistani troops who had intruded into the Indian territory and captured several strategically located peaks. The Pakistani troops, many camouflaged as irregulars, had got well entrenched in the peaks which overlooked the strategically key road leading to Leh and Siachen. The Pakistani operation was aimed at cutting the key road to Leh and Siachen. After the intrusion was detected, India launched the Operation Vijay to recapture these heights. It was not only the Pakistani army's mortars and bullets that the Indian soldiers had to face, but also the extremely hostile topographic conditions. Overcoming these challenges, the Indian army personnel displayed exemplary bravery, and with the efficient support of Air Force, the Pakistani troops were hit badly, forcing them to retreat. It took the Indian Armed Forces 3 months to evict the Pakistani soldiers, during which 527 brave Indian army men lost their lives and 1,363 others were left wounded. The victory of Operation Vijay was declared on 26th of July 1999. Now 21 years after the conflict, Pakistan tried its best to project to the world that it was not its army but Mujahideen who had captured these heights. However, the Indian intelligence agencies proved their mettle in June 1999 by intercepting a conversation between the Pakistan Army Chief General Pervez Musharraf, who was then in Beijing, and his Chief of Staff General Muhammad Aziz in Rawalpindi, in which they were talking about the Pakistan Army's presence in Kargil. As Pakistan got exposed, the then US President Bill Clinton stepped in and asked the then Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif on July 4 to ensure immediate withdrawal of troops from Kargil. As we celebrate the victory on its 21st anniversary, some questions still linger, like how was the Indian establishment unaware of the intrusions and whether lessons have been learned. Bureau Report.
Let's welcome Brigadier Datta to the program. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, you were there during the Kargil conflict. You are among the veterans. Please take us back to the those days and give us an overview of the operation.
It was a very well thought out operation by Pakistan. I will just take you back into history. You will recall that Pakistan, ever since partition, has been trying or has an eye on Kashmir. Kashmir has always been a very important trump card as far as Pakistan is concerned. If you recall 7th December 1949, when Rajouri was captured, and when Brigadier Osman, who was the commander 50 Para-Infantry Brigade, he was inducted to liberate Poonch and Rajouri. Similar incursions were there in Badgaon and Uri sector also, in the form of Kabylis or rebels or whatever, but they were in fact regulars. If you come down to 1965, you will find that China made an intrusion in the famous Chicken Neck area, or the Akhnur Dagger, which is about 174 square kilometer area. And I'm sure nobody knows geography and history better
China
than
or
you
Pakistan?
about... No, Pakistan, sorry.
Yeah.
Correction, Pakistan.
Yeah.
Correction. So what has happened was that Pakistan has been pushing, so much of insurgents, and in 65 war also, the main aim of operations in Chicken Neck sector or Akhnur Dagger was to push these insurgents to destabilize the governance in Jammu and Kashmir. And the biggest blow came in 1971 war, when Pakistan was dismembered and Pakistan was cut to size. And thereafter they have taken a vow that they will try to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. Kargil was one of the offshoots of the same ambition what Pakistan always nourishes and dreams. They had made a very good plan. We have a concept called winter vacated posts, because in the Kargil area, or if you see the heights in Jammu and Kashmir, and especially in Ladakh sector, you will find that the areas they become very cold, and it is virtually very difficult to stay there. So there is a tacit understanding between the two forces that they will vacate those posts and they will go back to their rear areas. And both the armies did. Pakistan also did, and we also did it. But during that year, Pakistan, played a card, and they did not vacate those winter vacated posts, and they were occupied by Pakistani regulars in the garb of Gujarwals, Bakarwals, and these kind of rebels. But in fact, they were, troops from Northern Light Infantry and the Sindh Regiment. I also attribute that it was a intelligence, slippage on part of India and Indian forces also. That generally what happens is, once these winter vacated posts are, vacated, those bunkers they are called dhoks. They are generally occupied by the local, Gujars and Bakarwals, and they keep their cattle and all these kind of stuff. When they reported that, sir, we have seen some kind of people who do not belong to our community, and they seems to be, regular troops. But the input was not taken very seriously, and it was just glossed over. Then we all remember that when Lieutenant Saurabh Kalia's patrol was going on a routine patrol, and when the inputs were coming, these patrols started going there. The patrol was ambushed, it was captured, and it was butchered. And, the brutality which the Pakistani troops did on this patrol and on this young officer, they had cigarette burns, they were tortured beyond, explanation, and their eyes were, they were taken out and they were popping and hanging when the bodies were handed over to the Indian authorities. When this patrol was captured, then the Indian authorities, they woke up and they realized that there is a bigger game. Initially, Pakistan had thought that they had planned for 10 posts. But since they saw that there has been no action or there has been no reaction from the Indian side, they got greedy and they started fanning out their operations for other posts. The terrain imperative or the advantage which Pakistanis enjoyed was that they were at the higher heights and we were at the lower heights.
Now, just to intercept you, now coming back to the intelligence or the alertness, it took Pakistan 6 months to bring all the assets and men to the top, and India was sleeping. So we knew nothing about it for 6 months. I also came to know, I was there in Kargil during that time. I came to know that there is something called Winter Air Surveillance Operation, which is to basically to keep an eye on those posts which are vacated during the winter. What happened to those? There is a question mark about that. Why were those operations not carried out and a watch was not kept on those movements?
Yeah, I told you earlier that there were slippages and we were caught napping. And you see, Pakistan had an excellent deception plan, because generally what happens is the advanced winter stocking is being done. So they simulated some kind of traffic in various other areas, and they kept on, stocking these posts. And as I told you earlier, the regular troops, they were, given the disguise of Bakarwals, Gujars and all, and the stocking was done for almost 6 months. I mean, it was a very foolproof plan on part of Pakistan Army. The entire operation was planned by the Special Service Group head, Major General Ashraf, under the guidance of General Parvez Musharraf. Even the Pakistani Premier, Nawaz Sharif, was not informed. So it was done in such a clandestine manner. And yes, I definitely agree that we have, slipped on our surveillance activities, and we could not ascertain or we could not discern the intent of Pakistan.
So
and
we
also did not.
So we were caught napping for 6 months, and I remember even after the first, as you talked about, Saurabh Kalia's platoon went missing. Even then, we were not ready to accept that they are Pakistanis, and in fact, the impression in the Indian establishment was that they are just terrorists who have intruded or infiltrated, isn't it?
Yeah. You see, they were when the reorg was going on, or when the operations got, when we were winding up, we found, certain cash memos of Kargil market and some of our canteens also in their bunkers. That means the people were coming and they were doing shopping and they were going back. And we also did not take the inputs of the locals, because in such areas, the inputs of these locals is very important, and they form a very important vertical as far as intelligence gathering is concerned.
But sir, locals had informed or alerted the army units there, but army units just dismissed those inputs.
Yeah, it was. I could not hear you, Ajay ji.
No, I am saying that the local shepherds had alerted the army units there in Kargil about some unknown people wearing salwar kameez and not being Indian troops roaming around there with arms. But Indian, army officers there, they just dismissed it like anything. No, it was only because when Saurabh Kalia's platoon went missing that Indian army got alerted.
No, Saurabh Kalia's patrol was sent. Initially, they did not pay attention to the inputs which they got from the Gujars and Bakarwals, as you rightly brought out. But, once the inputs were started pouring in, then they had sent this patrol. It was basically a confirmatory patrol which was sent so that they can find out what kind of occupation is there and what is the strength and what is the disposition of, enemy, if at all he's there. And when they were captured and, when they were fired upon, then they realized that they are holding these bunkers, they call them as sangars, with the formidable weapons, and they fired them with automatics. And then the local formations, they got into action. And all these things, they started, from 3rd of May, and they kept on thinking that it is a local action and we will be able to throw the enemy back. But when things were out of control and when they saw that the Pakistanis had formed in and they had really planned it so well and the location was so formidable, then the matter was reported, and by say about end of May, the intervention of Army Headquarters, Ministry of Defence and the government was sought.
Why I keep insisting on that the India we were caught napping is that I have personal experience. I spoke to the then NSA, Brijesh Mishra. It was towards the end of May. And when I asked him about it, he says they are terrorists and we will flush them out. And I asked them in 1965 also we did the same. We had the same impression. So idea is, I'm asking this question is, when did we actually realize that they were not terrorists, they were army people, Pakistan army soldiers?
I just told you when the patrol was ambushed, it was a confirmatory patrol which was sent. When it was ambushed, that is the time they realized, when they opened up with that automatic fires, they realized that they are not, normal insurgents or Gujars or Bakarwals. And then the local formations, they launched their operations, but it was an uphill task because Pakistan by then had formed in. And when the resources were pooled in from the other formations and the operations, when they were pushed in, that's the time they realized that it is going to be a full-fledged war and it is not going to be a local skirmish. So then the entire Ministry of Defence was taken on board, and then we launched a proper planned offensive.
Okay, tell me one more thing. There is an impression, that Air Force was, it was delayed. Use of Air Force was delayed, and which actually cost us a lot of people, on the men on the ground. Do you agree with this impression?
Yeah, I agree with you, because initially we could have used Air Force, but generally what happens is, if you see in mountain warfare, Air Force generally is not all that effective, and more so, say about if you go back 21 years back, because by virtue of terrain configuration, the effectiveness of air bombing or to pinpoint the targets becomes very difficult, because the precision ammunition was not prevalent or was not in that much use during that time. It is now that the technology has given us an edge, where you have precision guided ammunition, where you have smart ammunition, which can, if you engage, if you lock onto the target, it is going to give you 90 to 100% hit probability, like what you have in in Rafale, Hammers, or Spice, this kind of ammunition. So the clearance was delayed, and there were also the cumbersome procedure of inter-service hitch was there to employ Air Force, and once the permission was given, it was a bit delayed.
No, because ultimately it was the Air Force which actually changed the game and the balance. In fact, the balance till then was in favor of Pakistanis who were sitting atop these mountains, and our forces were exposed like anything, isn't it?
No, not exactly. Yes, Air Force did play a very important role, but the credit goes to our young leaders, especially from the army.
I'm not taking the credit away from the armed, infantry, the army people. I am saying it because they actually staffed these peaks, and which enabled the army people to carry out the operations. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, Air Force did play a very major role.
Because early, in the initial parts, we lost so many men. Maybe in disproportionately we lost, because the conditions were hostile, very bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Because you see, the Air Force started targeting their logistic nodes. They started their sangars, their fortifications, and so that broke their will. And when the resources were cut off, they started running off. If you see the autopsy report of the soldiers who were captured or who were, who were cremated, and before cremation, the autopsy report says some of the soldiers had grass in their stomach because they had nothing to eat. So they were eating local grass. So Air Force literally, break their backbone. And yes, I agree with you. It could have been,
we could have saved so many people, I guess, so many army soldiers.
Yes, this operation could have been, shortened.
And one more thing is that we had a kind of self-restraint that we will not cross the LOC. Even our Air Force was directed not to cross the LOC. How much do you agree with this self-restraint, even in those difficulties?
Yeah, yes, Ajay ji, I agree with you because somehow these are my personal views that we lack, muscular nationalism. वो एक शायर ने कहा था ना कि जुल्म करता है ज़माना और हम शर्माए जाते हैं. It is good to be good. It is good to be a patient nation, but sometimes you have to make people understand the language which they understand best. I mean, we have been keeping quiet. We have been telling that we are not going to launch any offensive or we will not cross any LOC.
No, but we had not launched any offensive. They had crossed into our territory. They had violated the LOC. Then what was stopping us from going across the LOC?
Yeah, it is totally a political decision. Unfortunately, we are so slow in taking such decisions. Like what we have done in Balakot when the airstrike was there. It was no military target was addressed. It was basically these terrorist camps which were addressed. So you see, the entire world has supported us on that. We never targeted their military areas or camps. It was the terrorist camps which were attacked. So the world is going to support you if you are on the right track or if your focus is correct. And unfortunately, the decision-making mechanism in India, especially in South Bloc or in the political arena, sometimes is very time-consuming and cumbersome.
Okay, we are running out of time. Now, last question is, have the lessons been learned from Kargil?
Yes and no. I mean, I will answer them in both contexts. We have learned good amount of lessons. The Kargil Review Committee gave very good recommendations. Some of them were implemented, like 14 Corps. While the Kargil operations, they had just finished, 14 Corps was
but many were not implemented.
Yes, like CDS. CDS was not implemented. It took government, had CDS been there,
Mountain Corps, would have been creation of Mountain Corps, isn't it?
Yeah. Creation of Mountain Corps. And when the Mountain Corps was created, for years, there were no funds for them. The Corps was created by milking resources from one formation. एक battalion कहीं से ले ली, एक brigade आपने कहीं से ले ली और उसको Mountain Strike Corps का नाम दे दिया. दूसरी चीज मैं बताता हूँ, एक knowledge management एक बहुत बड़ी चीज है. Warfare में you have to have strategic thinking. हमारे यहाँ कारगिल रिव्यू कमेटी में नेशनल डिफेंस यूनिवर्सिटी का गठन होना था. आज 21 साल हो गए हैं. वो यूनिवर्सिटी जमीन अवेलेबल है, सब कुछ अवेलेबल है, लेकिन अभी तक शुरू नहीं हुई है. एक प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन जाएगा, वो 3 महीने के अंदर एक यूनिवर्सिटी ग्रांट या सैंक्शन लेके आ जाता है. इट इज सैड दैट फॉर द नेशनल कॉज वी हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू. थर्ड पॉइंट व्हिच आई वांट टू से इज दैट वी मस्ट not focus on lessons learned, we must focus on lessons applied. Like intelligence agencies are still not integrated. They have been integrated in the defense. We have made Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA has been formed. But the agencies which are under the Ministry of Home Affairs or under other agencies are still not integrated and they don't speak the same language.
So in the conclusion, we can say even 21 years after Kargil, lacunae remain. So
yes, I agree with you.
So I don't know when our establishment will wake up and really take notice of it. Thank you so much for participating in this debate, sir. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.